AskReddit by Johnny Portillo 95. What's something left-handed people have to deal with that right-handed people wouldn't even think about? Those desks or couch chairs that have a small desk attached. They do make left-handed sided ones, but they are few and far between. And they're only on one side of the lecture hall, and it's never a good seat. There is one front row, lefty desk in the entire room, and it's in the far corner, obscured by an ancient overhead projector. Alright, sports when you are young. Every demonstration from PE teachers are right-handed. You can't just copy the movements they teach you, you need to flip them, and your tiny brain struggles to process it. As well, 98% of the cheap sports equipment the school uses is right-handed. I tried to bat right-handed for so long in gym class growing up because the gym teacher never asked me what my dominant side was, and the thought never occurred to me as a child to mention it. Needless to say, I never became a softball star. Having right-handed people make comments whenever they see us write, like we're some kind of alien. Whoa. You're left-handed? I find myself noticing when someone is a lefty, and sometimes I comment on it, but I try not to. I'm primarily left-handed. I'm a right-handed rotor but do everything else left, and every single time I go to eat with my family, someone says, "Oh hey, give Silver Gladiolus 20 to the left-hand spot, they're left-handed," and inevitably someone says, "Wait, really lol." We never get to look at the cute graphics on coffee mugs while we're drinking from them. I just realized, I always thought the graphics were made so someone else could read them while you drink. As a left-handed person myself, one thing we often deal with is finding left-handed tools or equipment. Many everyday objects, like scissors or can openers, are designed with right-handed people in mind, which can make certain tasks a bit more challenging for us lefties. We also have to adapt to a right-handed world when it comes to writing on whiteboards or using certain computer mice. Saucepans with a pour spout are always right-handed. Most left-handed people are vaguely ambidextrous out of necessity. Writing on whiteboards is a nightmare. I have to float my hand, which tires out my arm quickly, and I can't see what I've already written to keep the line straight. Why are you writing diagonal? Getting the left hand seat at a dinner table. I once went to dinner with some new friends at a restaurant. When we got to our table, we all just stood around waiting for someone to get in first. That's when we all realized that all three of us were lefties. Ink stains on your knuckles writing across the page. I get the stain smear all along the outside of my pinky. Blue ink and pencil are the worst. The biggest risk is power tools. I taught myself to use all power tools right-handed because of risks using them left-handed. Trivial, I love dry boards but they are super hard to write on. I still use them left-handed because if I fuck up right-handed I'll maim my left hand circular saw with left hand and cut a few fingers on the right hand, no biggie. I crochet, and as a lefty I basically crochet backwards. It's fine until I need a tutorial for something. Yeah, I think this is why I never really took to crochet. I can knit fine backwards and forwards, but I have the hardest time with crochet. Rulers. How the fuck is no one talking about rulers? It's from 30 centimeters to 0 centimeters to me, or I have to twist my arms to know the measure I want to trace over it. I work in construction and was giddy when I got a left-handed tape measure. Anybody touches that thing, I'll cut you. Phone apps. The most frequently used buttons and controls are always on the right side of the screen. Yeah, it's so annoying T isn't a left-hand mode built in as standard for apps that do this. Drives me nuts. 2 of my 3 kids are left-handed. With both my husband and I being right-handed, I had no idea how difficult basic things were for lefties. It was really hard helping them with handwriting when they were little and cutting with scissors. I've tried buying a special left-handed pen. It's all curvy, My son says he doesn't really notice a difference. Pens aren't really an issue for us. The problem is finding a good hand position. I was lucky enough to be born with a left-handed father, who went to a Catholic school in the 60s and somehow didn't have it beaten out of him, thank goodness, so I wasn't ever weird in my house. He writes by curling his hand around to hold the pen upside down. I find it easier to hold my hand fully beneath the line and write from below. It makes me a little sore, but I don't think it's ergonomically any worse than how most writers hold their pens. Fast drying ink also helps a lot. Pencil is a fool's errand until you learn how to hold your hand. Spiral notebooks. I just start from the back with them now, lol. The only problem I routinely run into is dragging the palm of my hand across freshly written ink when writing. Other than that, our world has always been right-centric, so we have never known what it would be like to use a left-hand deer selector, or a left-hand telephone, or a left-hand microwave. Since these things do not exist, we don't know how it would change any better than a right-handed person. For a left-handed deer selector, move to the UK. Ring binders drove me insane as a kid until they allowed me to flip them. Any handouts we were to put in, I punched the holes on the right. Any mug printed with a photo, I'm looking at it and everyone else sees a plain mug. Personally, I think of this as a benefit. When people walk towards me, automatically step to the right to pass. I am known to attempt to pass on the left, colliding with a total stranger. I'm a righty, but I always hold anything that I have to aim at my mouth with my left hand because my right hand is otherwise occupied. On my desktop, my mug mat is on the left to keep it out the way of the mouse mat on the right. Those college lecture room desks with the fold-away top which has the armrest on the right side only. It took me too long to learn this is why right-handed people write with their elbow down by their side and I write with my elbow out to the left of my hand. Leaf blower. If I hold it in my left hand close to my body, it blocks the air intake, then my arm gets tired quickly from holding it out in front of me. Weed eater. Grinder. It shoots all the stuff back. Writing and smudging the ink. Sitting at a table next to right-handed person. Phone apps are almost all designed for right-handedness. Most musical instruments are designed for right-handedness. Left-handed versions cost more. Baseball gloves are more expensive and can't play certain baseball infield positions. Using scissors is weird AF. Sewing machine. Totally right-handed. Except bobbin insertion. We lucked out there. Learning to be ambidextrous for some things. There weren't reliably available left-handed scissors in elementary school, so I had to learn to use scissors right-handed. Left-handed mice are so rare that unless you're carrying your own everywhere, they're not worth bothering. When learning new sports like golf, and wanting to borrow equipment so I didn't have to spend hundreds if I didn't end up liking it, there were no left-handed sets available to borrow. So I started learning the sport right-handed and swapped back for some parts later, where unlearning and relearning wasn't too difficult. I now golf half left-handed, puts, and half right-handed, drives. Everything. The world has always been based around people being right-handed. As a chef, my knife skills sucked until I worked with a left-handed chef. Then it all made sense. Literally, everything we do must be observed, then flipped around in our heads, then executed. This is why lefties die sooner, on average, than righties. I had to learn how to be ambidextrous, just to complete basic tasks, sports, driving a manual, using scissors, etc. I am used to it now, and do many things right-handed out of necessity, as well as parents and teachers forcing it upon me. But, at least we are not put to death anymore, simply for using the wrong hand. Look it up, it happened. And X200B. Oh, a righty, always keeping us down. Fight the rightriarchy. A vegetable peeler. One time I bought a vegetable peeler that was meant for only right-handed people and I was dumbfounded because I didn't know that was a thing. I switched the blade around and then I was able to use it. My roommate said I was just stupid and didn't know how to use a vegetable peeler until I got her to use it after I switched the blade and she couldn't peel a potato at all. Lefty bonus points though when a symmetrical peeler is dulled by writers and you can use it lefty and it's still sharp. Which hand to shake with? It's the one everyone else uses all the time for everything. The one I use all the time for everything is not the one they want. I often have to consciously put something in my left hand and keep my right hand open to make sure I get it right. Loved this in college because my fraternity had a rule to always drink left-handed, so when you shake hands your hand isn't all wet, you don't have to wipe it off. If you got caught drinking right-handed, we had a nice little song you had to chug your drink to. Really nice for lefties. Bonus. When people wanted to make rules for beer pong is always starts throw left-handed, then I start draining every shot and they say opposite-handed real fast. When I was growing up all my teachers in elementary school tried to force me to be right-handed. I write left-handed, but everything else I had to adapt to using my right hand. My dad, who was left-handed just like me, told me how teachers were forcing him to use his right hand instead of the wrong hand. They managed to force him to the extent that he used his right hand for writing as an adult, even though he was really left-handed. But when my dad found out that I was also left-handed, he got really protective about it. Nobody were allowed to force me to use one hand over the other, and he even filed a complaint about a teacher who tried that.